Okay, I'm going to make a new scene. PBR metal rough, yes, correct. Select my game res file. Water well, oh, I did this on the desktop. Because I'm a fool. I don't see it on my desktop. No, I don't need another version, thank you. Where did I save this stuff at? I thought I saved it on the desktop. Now I need to load up Maya to see where I saved that stuff, because I guess I didn't save it on desktop. As I anticipated, I did. Oh, here they are. Oh, never mind. Go away, Maya. I forgot that my projects was set to my projects folder. This is what I get for being lazy, right? Go. Yep. Didn't save it because there's nothing there. Thank you. Okay, select projects, staple game. We're not using UV tile workout right now. We do need to compute the tangent space per fragment. Right now, 1024 is going to work for me, but that can be changed later on anyway, so who cares? Okay, load up my one piece of plane. Here we are. Okay, and we're going to bake now. Come on over to the bake mesh maps. I'm only going to work with normal right now to see what we get. I'm going to keep it pretty low. 1024 is usually where I start off. Let's load up my high mesh here. Staples high. I'm probably going to have to adjust my my max frontal and max rear here. We'll see what we get. If I get some cropping of that stuff, then it's going to be hard times there. Match by mesh name. Remember I used LO and HI. I need to make sure that my suffixes respond to that specifically. Do I need match by mesh name on this model? Probably not. There's not a lot going on, but I just want to give you guys that demo. I'm going to make things complicated for that purpose. I do need diffusion to be turned on. Dilation width. Let's keep that at 1. I don't want any more than that. I had to do some examination bakes here in the previous, so some of my settings are a little bit weird. Okay, let's bake this on and see what we get. Okay, yeah, so there's that cropping stuff that I was saying. You're not going to get a lot going on there. I also have very little resolution that I'm working with. So let's bump up that that envelope. Once again, I only recommend you do like big envelopes if you have some big stuff that you're kind of testing out for decals. Okay, so I'm going to try to double this envelope and see what we get here. Oh, still not enough. I'm going to get crazy. Let's just go for gold here. Okay, we're starting to get something. I'm going to increase resolution here too, because I'm not really looking too great on resolution. Let's see if that helps a little bit. Kind of helped. I don't think I'm getting the whole thing here. If this model was a lot bigger and this was a smaller detail, it would definitely be in that envelope. But right now it's just responding to the size of the envelope and the model that's there. This is kind of what I'm getting. I'm not like backwards on this thing, am I? This is Danger Town. Okay, so that's what I'm getting. This is not looking too great, unfortunately. Let's see what the I need to see what my ID map is looking like here. I want to see what's going on with that. Well, I'm gonna set it to material color. I don't need 2048 though. Let's try this out instead. Let me see ID maps. See, something's going on there. I'm not doing great with resolution. I think that's my, oh. Yeah, that's still not good. Well, okay, so I had it at 1024. 2048, I'm getting a little bit better. 4K resolution. That seems, oh, I didn't even let it finish. Okay, so that seems to be the resolution I have to get these things to really get some good resolution there. So that's a little disappointing. But in retrospect, you know, we're looking at this map. That's how much UV space I gave this thing, is that much UV space. So I'm not expecting incredible things out of this. Let's try normals now. Let's try normals at 4K. My envelope size is just so big. All right, yeah, it's like it's reading my, it's like it's reading my staple inside out or something like that, and I don't like that. Maybe it's just the angle I was looking at, because now it looks okay. Maybe it's just my perspective on this thing is a little weird. I mean, it's starting to make a little bit more sense now. Okay, well. I do need to put some anti-aliasing on this thing. We don't need this thing to be that high anymore. Let's drop it down to like 0.5 or something, because I wasn't getting any extra results from this. 4x4 anti-aliasing is going to be my last step on this guy to get the full high-res bake here. But we're working with flat geometry, okay? So this is 100% two triangles, okay, one polygon that I'm going to be using, and I'm going to float this stuff right on top of my model. Okay, so this is basically going to be a little stamp for myself. Maybe I just need to spin this guy around to look at it this way. So I think I know where my normals need to be now, right? I need to make sure that this guy is facing in these directions, but you can see I have one staple going into holes and one staple that's been pressed into the wood quite severely. So from here, once again, I'm using this for decals, regular floating geometry. You know, a lot of the rest of what I'm going to do is not going to apply to regular floating geometry. This is me proceeding on to normal or to actual geometry decals, okay? So I'm going to use this on my tiling texture because I can't put individual details in certain places. I hope that makes sense to everybody. But now that I have an ID map here, let's go to my maps. I have this ID map. I can now mask my layers off properly. I wonder what my AO is going to look like on this thing. You know what? I should do that too because I need you guys to know how to fix the AO in Substance Painter. So I'm just going to do it like a 2048 AO, no subsampling. Okay, but keep in mind when you're doing AO with floating geometry, you have to do this. You have to come over to the ambient occlusion options and turn off the ignore backface to always. That's really important. You have to do that or else you're going to get the back faces of your floating geometry. So let's see what this looks like here too. There. Still kind of getting it. The AO really makes this thing pop out a lot more though, right? And we're getting that shadow there now, so that's good. Good little shadow. I might keep the AO there in the layers. Okay, now that that bake is in, I'm going to come over here to layers. I'm gonna make a black mask. Actually, I need to change my material now. My material needs to be a PBR metal rough with alpha test. If I'm going to use opacity, I need to make sure that my material is changed. And I also need to add an opacity channel. Oh my goodness. Okay, so let's work with opacity here. I want to come to my fill layer. I'm gonna turn everything off but opacity, and I'm simply gonna put opacity all the way down to black because you don't get any grays with masking opacity. You don't want grays. You just want black and white. So if I come over here now and add a color selection to my mask, I can come to my demask now with a pick color and just click on red. And now I've created that opaque mask there, and that's kind of what's going to imprint onto my model. I can increase the tolerance of this thing or lighten up on it. I don't want it to be hard. I want it to be a little bit softer. That's really crazy. Okay, so that's going to be the opacity of some of this stuff here. Now, this is just going to be the opacity. I need to think about this because if I want this to be, I want this to be able to stamp on with normals, but I don't want it to influence color at all. But I feel like it's going to kind of force me to do this anyways. So I need to play around with this a little bit. First off, let's get another black mask in here. This one's going to be like color and metal. We could do roughness too, maybe. Just darken up on it. Go full metal for the nail and shiny on the roughness. Let's do another color selection here. This is me using my D map now. And there's my screw. Just from clicking that color, I can change up my tolerance here and just give it like a softer effect. Am I still in 2K mode? I could be in 4K too, maybe. Yeah, 4K mode kind of helps out a little bit more, right? I wouldn't recommend you normally texture in 4K mode. This is just me working with what I got so far. Metal's a little bit too dark because the metal's going to absorb a little bit of light. So there we go. There's my staple. I can do a little bit of an abyss now, where we stamp in. Let me try something here. One more. This opacity, I want this on the top because I want this to override everything that I'm doing. I'm gonna do an abyss now where I have like a dark color Don't need height. Don't need normal. Don't need opacity. I'm gonna go full rough, 0 metal. I need AO too. Let me do AO. Nope. Don't need anisotropy. I need ambient occlusion. Thank you. Putting an AO in here and making that dark as well. So now I can come in here and paint. What's happening here is already happening. So this should override my metal. I am tired of having to scream at everybody. Okay. So I have AO that's overriding my metal right now a little bit, so I'm just gonna mask that out. And there's my little tiny AO hole there though that's going to kind of be put in there. If you have any like big gaps in your model, I'm just pressing X to like go between white and black. It's gonna paint in that little hole there, so that way I don't get any lighting in that area and it just seems like a big shadow. And there's my little hole for that guy. Kind of do the same thing with this. Let's just do a straight line for this one though. Let's do something like this where we just kind of drag that line out a little bit. And then I make my guy a little bit smaller here and then just use one more line and unmask it now. There we go. So now I got that little abyss hole there for my staple. And what's nice is these guys are just going to be one polygon. Whenever I want to put it on my model, I just have that control now to just like occupy my model with that one little polygon. Now I want to be able to have normal map influence here, but just I don't think it's going to give me that choice to just use opacity with two different things here. I'm going to have to yeah, because I mean, base color is not going to be blank here, and I can't. I'll have to take a look at what we can do inside Unreal and stuff, but I don't think it's going to be able to happen like this inside of Substance Paint or inside of Sketchfab or anything. You know, there are such things as like normal decals that only affect normals, but I don't know how I can do that really right now that I'm seeing it. I think I'm just gonna have to texture this stuff back here as wood and kind of do my own cracks and stuff just to kind of make these sharp points that that make this mask a little bit easier to see. Because if I just put a wood grain back here, Alright, so now I have some wood back there. I mean, that's kind of what it's gonna have to look like. I could put some edge wear along the edge of this to kind of mask this off, and maybe paint the opacity into that edge wear is basically what I have to do, I guess, is Let's see how I can do this. I don't know, that the wood grain's really awful here. I'm gonna have to rotate this fill. Just rotate it at 90, so that way the wood grain's going with the staples, right? Does this kind of help clear things up for you, Ashley? I mean, we're not doing normal floating decals like this. But that's how you bake floating geometry onto a model, is you just leave it out on the game res. Right now, once again, my geometry is just one polygon plane, and that floating geometry just bakes down. Does that make more sense to you though? Okay, good. I wanted to make sure that that was clear. Everything else that I'm doing right now is super extracurricular. Let me try to do some edge wear on this thing and see if I can mask that alpha and opacity. I'm gonna make a fill layer here, put a black mask on this thing, add a generator, and well, metal edge wear is not gonna be good. I need to get some smart masks in here. Let's see if I can get like some really chippy looking effects. Paint old. That might work. Old paint. Is there anything, do you need would you like any more demonstrations from anything else? Worn surface. Scratchy details. Rust. Sorry. I'm a little too close to the screen. I'm trying to look at these details. Sandy dust, moisture, gun edges. None of these seem really chippy. Like the edge of a wood or something like that. Stony cracks. I guess I could try that. I don't know. Let's see what this thing looks like even. That's what it looks like? I don't like this. I have a video in milestone 3 to show you how to do that. I'm not asking you to do that this week, okay? I want you to focus on surfaces. Yeah, that's week 3 stuff. Don't worry about that yet. Let's try dusty dirt, maybe. Crank up contrast, play with global balance here. Yeah, I should probably not be in 4K mode. It's taking too long to do this stuff. And that's too low. 2048, let's try that. All right, that's what I'm gonna have to work with here. I'm just trying out new masks here. See what we get. Some of this stuff isn't even using. You need to make sure you're using generators. I just need to use edgeware. This is all that I got. Fiberglass edgeware, maybe. Let's inverse that and see what that looks like. I want lots of wear, or maybe less wear, something like that. But more contrast. Lots of grunge. I just don't know why it's giving me the inverse stuff. More curvature. It's going to require a lot of playing around. Let's see if I can't just make this like a wood color, like really light brown. I'm really colorblind, so just excuse me on that one. This is just like really bad looking, but it's kind of what I need. I'll try turning off the opacity. Wow. That's just terrible looking. I thought I'd get some really good, I'd be able to get some good edgeware in here, but the resolution just really stinks. But working with opacity, you know, I'm just gonna paint this stuff in. Come in here with some paint. Let's get a good brush. Something that is really, really chunky. Oh my goodness. Some of these brushes. I need something really harsh. I just don't know about some of these. Whatever. We'll try that out. Oh, this is opacity now. Let me do a little bit more on this first. This is not helping. I need to paint. Okay, now I'm painting out. I need paint in a little bit. We'll just get rid of opacity. This whole mask is just bad. I'm just getting rid of the whole generator. Let's paint this guy in. Jeez. Change the color how you need it, right? You know, get some of this stuff in there too, I guess. In all honesty, I could probably just copy this mask over. We can get a little bit of height on this too. Kind of shrink it down, just kind of sink it in a little bit, like the wood's just been chipped. Now this mask, I do need to paint in this mask with a regular brush now again. Let's go back to the simple brush for shape. Where's my regular shape brush? Whatever. Shrink my size and then get my my mask in there again for the staple. I don't want this to be occluded out in opacity at all. There we go. Just kind of stamping it in there, and now this is what I'm going to do is I'm just going to plug this into opacity. And this guy is going to go nowhere. I'm going to do a fill layer back here with no opacity. And there we go. That's what my stencil is going to kind of look like. I'm just going to be able to stick geometry wherever I want it to be. Have those kind of holes in there. And that's what my opacity is going to look like. Something like that. I can kind of soften this up, maybe. Or, you know, copy this mask over with opacity and maybe put a little bit more like a rim of just a small little ring of this wood grain back there. That's kind of what I'm looking at right now. Pretty interesting stuff for me to be able to go in there and do. You know, I could definitely do some of this, though, on my tiling texture in Maya. I could have some of that stuff repeating, but if I wanted some things to stand out, I could put, you know, I could put these staples or nails wherever I want to on the model and just kind of occupy it with special details. You know, if I wanted a small little area where someone just like put like 5 or 6 nails in because it wasn't staying down, that's story element, right? So that's my way of being able to customize this model in some of these ways without me having to model this stuff in there or texture it onto a tiling or trimming map that's going to separate it from everything else. But this is let me export this out and show you what we can do with this. We still kind of have some time. Kind of have some time to kill still. Output. Port 4. Here we go. I already designed this to put opacity and base color. I really don't need a lot of this, actually. I shouldn't be doing this. I'm ruining my exporter. I already had this stuff set up. I'm just going to do an RGBA and an RGB. This one's going to be my this one's going to be my base color in RGB. Alpha is going to be my opacity. That's normally how you do things in games. And then this one is going to be normal OpenGL for Maya and for Maya and Sketchfab. They're OpenGL programs. Okay, let me just get this thing out. New export presets. Just put it in the desktop, please. PBR metal. or the new preset I just made. Because all I need from here is the 2048s. Okay, that's fine. Export it out. Let's see what we get now. I'm gonna close this. I don't really need it anymore. If I do this again, I'll do it from scratch. Okay, let's see this stuff in oh wow. Let's see this stuff in Maya. Let's see what it looks like. Just before we end this class. Okay, this stuff can go away now. This guy can take off. Let me just go to the materials here. Let's go to the attribute editor, go to my Lambert, and now let's come on over to File and grab that stuff from my desktop. RGB alpha, PNG. There we go. That's number 1. And I need normals too. So let's put normals in there just to see what it looks like. Tangent space normals, come over to File. Plug this guy in to RGB. Now I have normals on this guy too. Not too great looking, but whatever. So from here, put an edge loop in this. Chop it down actually. Let's just chop it down to its core. You don't need all this extra space that we made. So this is kind of what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna grab this guy and delete everything else. Separate it out, and now I could just put this guy wherever I want in the model. Center my pivots. Let's delete history so that stuff's not repeating itself over and over again. Now I can just come on over here, hold V and snap it to a vertice. Make it the right size. And I could just put staples on this guy. Wherever I want it to be. Push it up against the model. Just watch out for Z fighting. Just pull it out a little bit. Yeah, I mean, this is how big this stuff is going to be, kind of. So yeah, I mean, the resolution's not going to be the best. We can scale it out even more if you want some bigger staples. But this is just some geometry I can reuse over and over again. We can get a couple of these guys together. And that's how we're kind of putting details on tiling textures. You know, obviously I wouldn't have these staples on something like this. I could probably get away with some staples on these guys though, because they're very modular. But yeah, the actual wood grain part, that's probably a big no on that one. So that's the one screw there. Let's pull this guy in and see what this guy looks like with the wood grain. I'm obviously gonna have to change up some colors probably a little bit. I'll line it up with my surface here without the Z fighting. It's like floating a lot. Yeah, it looks pretty garbage in Maya right now because Maya lighting is just terrible. see what this guy looks like on our planks here. Let's do like a -90. I believe you can make your models live and stuff, and snap them to the surfaces pretty well. But if I ever need, you know, if this was a bigger detail, I just had this huge staple in there. This is totally unrealistic, but just for an example purposes, you know, this is how we float stuff on top of each other, just with geometry. Pull it out a little bit. And now I just got this huge staple on the side. Totally unrealistic right now, but that's kind of how we get that stuff done. What happened to this guy? Got like a lot of floating space in here. All right. Cool. Makes sense. So today we've reviewed floating geometry for baking, floating decals for tiling textures. This is how we put individual details on things that are repeating. Once again, for these shingles, I'm probably going to do some staples in the texture itself to keep me from having to do this. But I definitely need to make some nails for the wood. The staples probably wouldn't be realistic unless I'm stapling. You know, maybe I do like a wanted poster over here or something on this. You know, if I want to do stuff like that, then I have some staples to use, definitely. I definitely plan on putting some nails in between that texture probably, just to make use of the whole deal there. That's how we do it. I could put bird poop here, nails, anything that I really need to. Let's take the lighting off here and go to flat lighting. That's how you're going to be putting details on tiling things, because obviously the UVs for this are not going to support me repeating things over and over again.